You can't talk about China without addressing Taiwan and the island nation's efforts to deter a potential invasion. Bloomberg News reporting that Taipei will purchase up to 400 anti-ship missiles from Boeing, completing a deal Congress first approved back in 2020. But will these new weapons be enough to prevent Beijing from an attack? Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper here to weigh in. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic, but I know that this conversation makes a lot of Americans feel edgy, especially as they're wondering how much the U.S. Will involve itself with this conflict or proposed conflict. This will be the first time Taiwan will get these mobile land-launched Harpoon missiles from Boeing. Why these specific missiles? Why is this so critical?
Well, first of all, the American people should feel uneasy about China and the Chinese Communist Party, given your lead up about all that they are doing around the world and in our country specifically. They are a full spectrum threat. Now, look, with regard to the Taiwanese arms cells, Taiwan has adopted a few years ago what's called a porcupine strategy, recognizing that they cannot go toe to toe with the People's Liberation Army. It's the PLA is just too big. And so what these missiles do is enable the Taiwanese to put large amounts of anti-ship missiles on the ground in a mobile capacity, which makes it far more difficult for the Chinese to defeat. So this is an important resource for them to have. They also need anti-air missiles, so forth and so on. But the problem is we're not going to see these missiles delivered until 2029 or so, which is that's the biggest concern here in all these weapons purchases, because there's like a $20 billion backload of arms cells. Is the Taiwanese need these in the next 2 or 3 years before what we think might be a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan in 2027 or later.
I mean, obviously, it's going to be too late.
Well, that's the concern. That's why many people, myself included, have been arguing that we need to accelerate and reprioritize arms sales to Taiwan, because if you can arm the Taiwanese and adopt a strategy just like the Ukraine did against their bigger neighbor, Russia, then they have a chance to deter the conflict. And if deterrence fails, they can defend themselves in a way that, or at least long enough for the United States and other allies in the region to come to their assistance.
But do we have that kind of resource available to give another nation this kind of ammunition, this kind of artillery, in addition to what we're helping Ukraine do against Russia at a time when the U.S. is itself facing some economic shortfalls?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. Much of what we're giving to Ukraine are excess defense articles coming out of our stockpiles. And the things that the Taiwanese need are not necessarily what the Ukrainians are using. Now, HIMARS, for example, is one that they would both need. But certainly in the case of Taiwan, they need these anti-ship cruise missiles. They need sea mines. They need things like that. So I don't know whether we have enough in our stockpiles, but that should be a consideration. In the meantime, we need to really juice up the defense industrial base to build far more systems like Stinger anti-air missiles, Javelin anti-tank missiles, those things that are needed in both Ukraine and Taiwan.
So Congressman Mike Gallagher, he chairs the House Select Committee on China, said that Taiwan should be at the front of the line to receive these missiles. But if they are not, if by chance this doesn't happen until, like you said, 2029, how much are they at risk if they are attacked by China? What happens to the island?
Well, look, every day you want Xi Jinping to wake up in Beijing and look across the Taiwan Strait and say, yeah, not today. It's too hard. It'll be too bloody. It'll be too costly for his economy. So the longer that Taiwan doesn't have the means to defend itself effectively through a porcupine strategy, through these types of large numbers of small weapons, it keeps that window of vulnerability open, which is why we need to close it quickly by accelerating arms delivery to Taiwan, by enhancing their training, by having an increased allied presence in the region. And there are a number of other things that when I visited Taipei last summer and met with President Tsai Ing-wen, I recommended that they do. And look, they're making progress, but there's a window here that we need to be conscious of.
I want to ask you one more question. Why are we hearing about all of these things now? I mean, clearly China and Taiwan have been at odds for quite some time. We are hearing that these spying, these espionage attacks or attempts through the outposts that we're discovering in places like Manhattan, the use of technology to spy on this country. It's not new, but why are we hearing so many reports right now? Is it becoming more prolific, or is it that more lawmakers of both parties are paying more attention?
A little bit of both, but it begins with the introduction of Xi Jinping as the premier of China and the head of Chinese Communist Party in the 2012-2013 timeframe.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.